We are going to start off today's rally with some speeches about the Fair College Admissions Act. The Fair College Admissions Act would prohibit legacy admission practices at all colleges and universities in New York. Legacy admissions is the practice of giving preferential treatment to college applicants who are related to an alumnus of the school. Folks that benefit from legacy admissions are predominantly white and wealthy. How is it fair that we have to work harder to get good grades and get into a good school, but someone who is rich and can buy a spot in some of New York's best colleges? Do we think that's fair?
No!
It sounds like affirmative action policies for the wealthy and rich. And since the Supreme Court gutted affirmative action last year, it is even more of a racial justice imperative to get rid of legacy admissions. Now let's bring in our first speaker, Hannah.
Students, educators, and advocates, today I stand before you, Hannah, a high school sophomore, but more importantly, as a voice for the countless high school students whose dreams are being shattered by the unjust practice of legacy admission. We are a generation fooled by aspiration, driven by ambition, and bound by the belief that hard work should be the sole determinant of our future. Legacy admission, a system that prioritizes familial connection over any other qualities in a student. Why should the accomplishment of our parents dictate our access to higher education? Why should the legacy of our family matter over our own potential? As a first-generation student, I faced firsthand the barriers erected by legacy admission. My parents, immigrants, who sacrificed everything for a better future, did not have the privilege of attending prestigious universities. Yet their sacrifices should not take away from my ability to follow my aspiration in the same manner as my classmate. We must confront the uncomfortable truth that legacy admission promotes inequality and reinforces privileges. They create barriers for students from diverse backgrounds, denying them the opportunity to compete on a same level field. But today, we refuse to be silenced by the echoes of tradition. Today, we raise our voices to demand change. We demand end to legacy admission and end to the antiquated notion that one's familial connection should dictate their educational opportunities. That is why I'm calling on the New York State legislature to pass the Fair College Admission Act. The Fair College Admission Act would ban legacy admission in New York State. The Fair College Admission Act is not just a piece of legislation. It's a beacon of hope for students like me who believe in the power of hard work and equal opportunity. By banning legacy admissions in New York State, this act will serve as a model for other states to follow, bringing in a new era of fairness and inclusivity in higher education. By removing the influence of legacy status in college admission, we ensure that seats in prestigious universities are filled by the most qualified and deserving candidates, regardless of their family background. Moreover, the Fair College Admission Act sends a powerful message to the future generation that we prioritize fairness above anything else. It sets a precedent for how we define success and achievement based on not who you know, but who you actually are. It is time for our education institute to reflect the values of fairness and equal opportunities. It is time to dismantle the barriers that hinder the dreams of countless high school students and pave the way for a brighter and more equitable future. So I urge you, my fellow students, advocates, to join me in this fight for justice. Let us stand together, united in our conviction that every student, regardless of their background, deserves a fair chance to pursue their dreams. Let us be the agents of change, the voices of progress, and the architects of more equitable educational system. Together, we can tear the walls of privilege and build a future where effort, not lineage, determines our destiny. Thank you.
Can we please have another round of applause for Hannah? Thank you so much. I'd like to introduce our next speaker, who is a senator. Remind me of your name one more time. Andrew Gounardes. I'm so sorry.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I can't hear. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
How many of you is this your first time in the state capitol in Albany? Raise your hand. Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you so much for coming up here today. It's so important that you're up here today because this is the building where decisions about your future are made every single day. And if you are not here to add your voice, to speak your mind, to tell your elected leaders what you care about, those decisions are going to be made without you being part of the conversation. So I want to thank each and every one of you for coming up here today to talk about all of the items on your agenda, and in particular, the one that I believe so passionately in that we just heard from Hannah about, which is ending legacy admissions. I'm State Senator Andrew Gounardes from the great borough of Brooklyn. I know we had at least one person from Brooklyn here. Who else from Brooklyn? Brooklyn, okay. The rest of you guys, it's okay, you'll learn. Brooklyn's, I was raised by my parents with a very fundamental belief that if you work hard and you do right, you will have the best opportunity to succeed. And that your success in life is not about who you know, or it shouldn't be about who you know, but about what you know. But the reality is that for far too many people in New York today, that is no longer the case. For years and years, decades, colleges have given the family members of alumni an advantage, a leg up, the inside track, when they apply for admissions. These legacy admissions favor wealthy, predominantly white families, leading what we like to call it being as affirmative action for the privileged. Nearly 70 colleges in the state of New York offer some form of a legacy preference. More colleges in the state of New York than in any other state, according to the data that we have. That's more than 40% of all of the four-year higher education institutions in our state. And shockingly, almost none of them provide data on how many legacies they enroll each year. But the data that we do have makes clear that legacy preferences undermine racial and economic diversity and undercut that very basic fair notion of what is right. Like I said earlier, if you do right, if you work hard, you'll have just as much chance for success as the person next to you. The admissions rate at elite US colleges is 37% for legacy students, compared to about 10% for non-legacy students, according to the New York Times. Nearly a quarter of New York residents are immigrants, and almost a fifth have at least one immigrant parent. And they're going to be the first in their families to go to college, meaning that for so many, their opportunities to get into those elite schools are shut out because their families did not go there. And that simply is not right. The Fair College Admissions Act would prohibit legacy admissions in all New York colleges, both public and private. Schools that continue to use this exclusionary practice would be penalized 10% of their tuition revenue, which would then be used to bolster the state's tuition assistance program, which helps make sure that all students can afford a higher education. Now, this idea should not be radical, and in fact, it's not. Colorado has already banned legacy preferences 3 years ago. Virginia has banned legacy admissions. Maryland has banned legacy admissions, and other states, including Massachusetts, are considering the same. And it's not only state law, it's more than 100 colleges have voluntarily done it on their own because they recognize how inherently unfair legacy preferences truly are. As we heard our speakers say before, given the Supreme Court's decision last year to eliminate affirmative action and make it more difficult to achieve diversity on our college campuses, New York, the state with the most number of legacy admitting institutions, must take bold action to dismantle the systems that perpetuate inequality and racial injustice and bar marginalized students from accessing opportunity. So I want to thank you all. We have 11 days left to go in the legislative session. And that means we have 11 days to fight with everything we have to make sure that we break down and dismantle these exclusionary practices that shut the doors to far too many students in our state. And you're going to be a big part of that when we do it. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Senator. Our next speaker, can we please have Cassandra Levinson?
Thank you. As Senator Gounardes previously iterated, we grow up being told that this world is a meritocracy, that if we work hard, we'll have the same chances as everyone else. this is what we tell our children, as though we know that these words will ensure their futures and solidify their chances to be the best that they can be. And for many students who have a desire to pursue a higher education, the first roadblock to success is always the college admissions process. However, one thing dismantles any credence to the idea that all applicants are on the same playing field and laughs in the face of meritocracy. It's what we tiptoe around in the world of educational discussion. The idea that the systems that supposedly intend to educate us were built by individuals who wanted to keep certain people, and by certain, I mean anyone who wasn't white, wealthy, and up to the 1900s, male, out of educational institutions. The history of legacy preferences in the United States is inherently discriminatory. As far back as the 1920s, elite universities utilized legacy admissions to champion anti-Semitic and racist hysteria due to the increasing beliefs that Jewish and Asian students would eclipse white students for spots. And yet, it grew out of a desire to maintain these false standards, perpetuating outdated ideals of the American dream that were ever sweetly wrapped in the false promise of success for decades. More recently, the 2023 Supreme Court decision to gut affirmative action severely limited the control of college admissions that had over the ensuring diversity of our student bodies. A prospective applicant whose father went to Yale is no more worthy than a student whose parents did not attend university. If both students have the same grades, the legacy student's GPA is not sparklier or more impressive. And yet, legacy admissions treat it like it is. Growing up in a Title I public school, I have seen the way that students around me have worked, taking countless classes, getting good grades, participating in clubs, all while holding multiple jobs. I know that as a first-generation American student, I work hard, but the respect I have for my peers whose parents never attended college is insurmountable. And this is the kind of work that should be rewarded. Must we continue to watch our students struggle in the face of these things that they cannot control, watching their hard work be blown away, all because someone else's family members attended the same university? It has been made more apparent than ever that the New York State government must take control of ensuring equity and fairness in our higher education systems and pass the Fair College Admissions Act. We have to treat legacy admissions for what it truly is, a pipeline for the privileged. There should be equal opportunities for everyone, not ones weighted in favor for someone merely because of the circumstances they were born into. I urge New York lawmakers to pass the Fair College Admissions Act to ensure an equitable college admissions process for all students. I hope that we can show students that their ideas are special regardless of the false markers our society has biasedly set. Thank you.
Let's get another round of applause for Cassandra. So now let's give it up for our next Night Clue organizer, Jaden.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jaden Kong, and I am here representing myself and my school, Ramapo High School, a part of the East Ramapo Central School District. Legacy admissions is a practice that has historically been corrupted America into allowing only the utmost elitist students and families into prestigious schools, while simultaneously rejecting underrepresented students. I have always been interested in furthering my education. My dream has been to attend Columbia or Cornell, the Ivy Leagues in New York. I would tell myself, it doesn't matter who my family is. Cornell will understand. Or just keep on working hard. Columbia will want you. As I look each year at Columbia and Cornell, I couldn't help but notice how white the student population is at each of these universities. Their median family income has more zeros than I could ever fathom. Many of these students have family connections that have helped them get into my dream school. A Latino like me certainly does not have any of these things. I work hard, but I feel like I can't get in. Coming from an underfunded school, predominantly of color, we are pressured to believe we aren't good enough to make it into these prestigious institutions because of the color of our skins. In my school, many of these students come with the most ambitious dreams to make an impact on the world. Yet year after year, high-achieving students say that their guidance counselors think that they aren't a good fit for their dream school, and they should try something easier. These same students who have put themselves through hell to perfect their transcripts and to make their families proud, we are tired of being overlooked. The legacy admissions process inadvertently supports elitism and discrimination of people of color. It silences those who don't fit the criteria of being rich and white. It is time for this to change. The Fair College Admissions Act would abolish legacy admissions. It is time to hold these colleges accountable. If these schools truly want to be labeled as diverse, then they need to stick to their values and allow students from all backgrounds into their schools, not just the rich and powerful. I conclude this speech by telling you there is hope. My friend and valedictorian, ambassador of NICLU of the class of 2024, Tiffany Ortiz, has demonstrated that we can break the standard. She, like me and many others, have told ourselves that time and time again, I won't have a chance. But she has determined and was passionate about her education. She will be attending Yale University in the fall. So I urge each and every one of you, no matter who you are, that everyone deserves a fair chance. Let this be a reason why underrepresented students don't give up on their dreams. Let's pass the Fair Admissions College Act now. Thank you.
Thank you, Jaden. That was a wonderful speech, and thank you for telling your anecdote and your story. Now we are going to have a chant for the Fair College Admissions Act. Now I want to hear from all of you. Are we going to ban legacy admissions in New York State?
Yes!
I can't hear you. Are we going to ban legacy admissions in New York State?
Yes!
Okay. When I say end legacy admissions, you say now. End legacy admissions.
Now!
End legacy admissions.
Now!
End legacy admissions.
Now!
End legacy admissions.
Now!
Thank you to all the speakers for the Fair College Admissions Act.